you doing? It's me, Katie. This is Patrick, Brandon, and we're here to discuss how the journey has been with our little No Socks podcast and live stream.
This is episode 6.
Apparently so. Do you think that we're gonna actually do six episodes? How do you feel about it, since you're the one who mostly kind of came up with this idea?
I think we've definitely hit a good stride, and I like that we've got some consistency. Like the original time I tried to start a podcast with Joel, we had like one episode, and that was the end of the podcast. So like, yeah, it's hopefully we can get to 10 episodes and then hit 20 and
then maybe 30,
maybe 30,
maybe
50?
40, 50. I don't know. Yeah,
but no,
it's
I like where it's going, and I like that, you know, every episode kind of introduces something different, and it's constantly developing, and I think it's going to a good place. So yeah, I don't know. What about you guys? Did you ever expect?
That's the
much
message
from
from like our boss, and like, let's go. Message from the boss and time to leave. But yeah, I guess you asked how do we feel about it, right? How do you feel about it, Caitlyn?
I could. Oh my god. Well, honestly, this kind of thing is something that I've always been interested in. Finishing up my last degree, we finished with a class that's portfolio, and so we just create just this little thing that's like, oh hey, here's what we've done, here's what we want from the future, you know, where we see like ourselves going. And something that I was interested in was maybe doing an interview series specifically with musicians, but at the same time doing really random stuff like, I don't know,
getting their haircut.
Yeah, or like cooking dinner, or if someone has an additional hobby, like doing that thing, because it's like then they get to be in their element.
Like, people tend to shine more when they're in their own element, and you know, it's like they're comfortable, and you know, it's like the whole competency thing as well. Like people who are demonstrating competence at something, we tend to
have more
like
confidence,
them more, and we you know, they're more impressive as well. They can show the best side of them.
I mean, even like we've had like how many guests now on the show?
4?
5? If you count them.
Since we've had 5 episodes before this.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but wait.
5.
But do we count a repeating
guest? Do we count
guest?
Jeremy as well? Do we count?
Jeremy was. Where is he?
He's a guest, but he's also not a guest.
He's a family as well, so.
But I mean, like, it's definitely, it's just really cool to meet the person behind. Like, off camera, there's a lot of, I'd say we do quite a bit of work, as probably some of our guests would probably vouch for. So it's definitely great to just, you know, have these random conversations with them before we actually start rolling. And I guess they do. I don't know. I feel like we don't get to like talk nearly half as much as we'd like to about.
That's why. You know.
Yeah.
Have a Patreon going, hopefully sometime in the future. And have a Patreon section.
Yeah, I want
additional content. Yeah, there's a lot we can do in the ways of the future. It's very exciting stuff.
Yeah,
like you're always having.
I want to ask this to the viewers, but would you guys like to, if we have a Patreon, if we do, maybe not. It's up to someone to certain someone to decide. If we did though. I'm considering, you know, going out to meet whoever our guest is beforehand, and just, you know, having a chat with them beforehand, and maybe we can also get some extra stuff, you know, some of those conversations I was talking about, maybe just recording it, maybe not necessarily on like a full-on camera, like a voice memo, but if you guys would like that, like definitely comment that on our page, on, you know, when this goes up.
Like, how many of you have listened to all of these episodes?
Apparently Max.
Apart from Max.
Hi, Max.
Do we have any fans?
I mean,
or, you know, Is it just us?
I think the thing is, when we make this, we're making it. I mean, it's just great to have something that brings us all together, exercising our skills. I don't know, but mainly we get to explore, other people, and I don't know. It's just cool. Like, I feel like this is an opportunity to build a bit of a community, and especially as. So I'm not being very literate to this. There's something about just us sitting here that it's like, what's going on?
It's a hot day. It's 32 degrees.
Yeah.
So I don't blame you.
We're blaming the heat again. There's something about Mondays as well that it's every time we go to film, it is the hottest day of the week.
But yeah,
generally.
like on your point, the idea was always to create it as a platform for artists.
Yeah.
And yeah, building the community has always been a big element of that. And, it's also how all these musicians were all kind of connected in some way. It's like you're building or you're putting together the dots of this web of musicians, and we find out, so I worked with Max, and Max knows you, and Natural State, and Black Dime Cabaret, and then there's this entire group of call arts people, like in Caitlyn and Sherry and Sabrina and Jeremy, and then it's like, yeah, every guest comes on. It's kind of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We all have our solo appearances. But everyone is ultimately connected in this shared universe, and part of the podcast is to expose that and make it just shows or it shines a light on the community of musicians.
Yeah.
I think it's also important because of COVID and lockdown restrictions. Like,
yes, very.
Everyone's just not feeling very connected.
Yeah.
So it's just nice to, see people again, but also just, try to get that connection that we most of us, or I'd imagine most of us just lost, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to have this little bit of consistency that we've been building up,
Speaking of connection, so I guess what Max was asking was how we all pretty much met.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, yeah.
And would you like to start with your story, how you got here?
So I guess where I entered the music landscape was I joined a band in 2018 called On Planet. Shout out to those guys, Josiah, Nat, Joel, who we should definitely have.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, Max. Okay, so we were part of this band called On Planet. We used to rehearse down at Newport. They had a really cool place. Shout out to Emma, who I'm sorry I still have your security cards for the doors. I will return those one day. But she was really nice. She looked like Amy Adams, if you know who she is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a bit of visuals for the audience.
Yeah, so through On Planet, that's how I met Max. He was our keyboard player who he was on episode 5, last week's episode. And he also has a live stream you can check out on our YouTube channel. And yeah, so that was the On Planet era. And through that,
sorry,
I don't know how much to talk about, but Max was, I don't know, how should I go into Black Dime stuff or?
It depends on how dicey you want to do it.
I think when you're talking about any story or anything that's experience that's happened to you, a good thing is to say, how did this thing that happened, how has it informed who I am today and the decisions I've made, and how has it taken me from A to B?
Okay.
If that's too hard.
No, I can talk about it. It might go on for a bit.
And ultimately, coming back to Max's question, we owe him that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they were kind of like half already said it, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, so On Planet eventually fell apart. It was like a just as most bands, I guess, don't go anywhere. I think Max may have talked about it last week, but you know, there's a lot that goes into a band. It's sort of like one of my favorite musicians, Devin Townsend, always spoke about it as, you know, being in a band is like being married to 5 other guys, you know, except without all the good things about being married to someone. So, yeah, it's like there are so many dynamics and things going on within a band that, you know, it's most of them just don't get anywhere. And On Planet was one of those bands where we played maybe one gig and probably less than 6-7 months in, just all fell apart. But through On Planet, I stole 2 of our members, Joel, our drummer, and Max, keyboard player. And we went and formed this other band called Black Dime Cabaret. And basically where this band was born from was just a lot of our frustrations in On Planet was the fact that basically nothing got accomplished. We would go to studios to record. We had one recording session at Collart's where, you know, that may have been one of those moments where
We could have met earlier. Yeah.
We may have been creating music within, you know, the same building at the same time. But ultimately, we didn't really release anything. We didn't go anywhere. So Black Dime Cabaret was, I want to just write all the music myself and come into each session with a bunch of demos, and everyone can just learn that. And, you know, at least, you know, there might not be that same level of creativity that happens in a band where...
It's not very collaborative, but...
Yeah, I guess there are 2 types of bands. There's the band where you just come into a room with maybe a riff and
everyone
jam it
puts
out.
a bit in.
Yeah, kind of like a Dream Theater or a lot of prog bands, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you were more band leader. You had a specific vision. And what a thing about Black Dime Cabaret was that it was like very story driven. Like, right? It was right from the beginning.
That's also something I wanted to do.
So you'd wrote like that short book about it first and then the music?
No, the book actually came after it. Which is
interesting.
Yeah, so the book was me. I always viewed the album as like dot points. So I started when I wrote the book as this is the songs, so this is the structure and the things that happen, and then I just fleshed it out and added characters. But
that actually makes sense because, you know...
Black Dime Cabaret is a concept album and there's a story to it, so I wrote a book.
Because I still haven't finished it.
That's fine, not many people have read it.
I have.
But I did read the start of it, and like, it's like, it takes a couple of chapters for it to actually even get to where you've kind of...
Yeah. The actual song.
Where the actual, that album...
Yeah, like there's an entire chapter that's just backstory.
Yeah, it's just backstory of...
I can't even remember what happens in it.
Guy
I did.
reaches for a knife behind a counter.
Oh, yeah, I know. I like that scene. The Raven Man.
Yeah, I mean, it also, I think it sets up... I mean, by reading that first book, I was like, like here's some things in... Well, because in the second album that comes after that. Should I have said that?
It's like working with source material, though. It's like, here's the source material, and it's like, so I got a better idea of what I've gotten myself into.
It's the book's basically an adaptation of the album.
Yeah, which is great. I love adaptations. Yeah. But I guess like the band with the whole, because it's like this kind of music that, I think this is why we actually can get along pretty well, is that we kind of write music that's sort of, I don't want to use the word control freak, but in the same way we have like a specific vision. Yeah, like we have a specific vision usually of what we kind of want. And so we're kind of perfectionists in that sense. Like if it kind of doesn't, it's not at our standard, it's not what we want, so we just...
Although I definitely have in the past kind of just accepted things that I didn't really like.
Yeah,
just
you've settled for.
I think I have settled a lot for.
Yeah.
That's fine, you know. And I think that's also, while it kind of maybe in the short term makes people feel good about themselves, like they feel like they're doing the right thing, and that it's like I don't want to feel like I'm just telling everyone what to do, because I do really appreciate artists, having some level of control over, like they're not just coming in as session musicians, as some people would say, but so I like to give them some control, but also...
But it's hard.
Because you don't want them to feel like it can be very confronting to meet with someone who can be direct and who knows what they want.
Although, maybe I should be more like that. And
as I keep on telling you in like every other rehearsal, just do it.
And ultimately, because if you're not really that happy with it, especially once you get to actually recording in a studio, I always hate it so much, because that's when
you don't want to waste any time.
The things that seem small actually become massive problems. If this, for example, the bass isn't that good, and you've kind of just been letting it slide, then they actually play it in the studio and record it, and it's just like, it's not just a small part anymore. This is the bass part, and it's not good.
It's the bass part, for God's sakes. It does, as much as most people don't hear it or pay attention to it. Or, I think these days people are paying attention to bass more, but it is still important. Like every part matters, and as you said, all the little things add up.
You want everyone to care to the same standard that you do.
Yeah, and to be honest, like when you, for example, brought in, fine lining, for example, when we were like playing your stuff, I definitely prefer like you just giving me the music that I can play instead of me having to think.
I really enjoyed it.
Come up with lines.
It's unplayable though.
Nah, it can.
To some extent, it's unplayable.
Can be done.
I'm asking a lot from you guys and anyone. Also, if anyone wants to possibly help me with that, I'm always looking for people to collaborate and I guess not be a session musician, but sort of be a session musician. I probably have less probably got to be a bit more strict on what I want compared to Brandon. But
if you just want to come in and play some really cool songs, it's like people playing cover bands. So
I guess
it's kind of like that.
If you want to play cover music, like original music, but feel like a cover
nothing
band.
against cover bands.
No, okay, but I feel like. Oh, sorry, Pat. Sorry. It's kind of like at times it's like, oh, like at first you see this, maybe it's a bit of a puzzle, and it's like, this looks a little bit confronting, but then you're like, oh, okay, no, this is kind of fun, and then you get that satisfaction of when you get it, you're like, hell yeah, okay, this is great, and then all the bits of everyone's figuring it out together. I think it is really unique, and I mean, that's all I ever want from music is to not be able to predict exactly what's going to happen next.
I don't know if it's unique per se. A lot of people say that, but maybe it depends on who. I guess it depends on your influences, right? Which I'm not going to go into today, but like my influences are
I think
not exactly not very common around here, I'd say.
I feel
to
like
an extent.
Is there a reason why we shouldn't just touch on for a second influences and then go back into how we met?
I guess we could.
Because that's a factor that plays into like how we met in the first place. Like the things that we are interested in.
Well, it
has
definitely
led us to
relates,
where we are. Sitting on this couch.
Yeah, like a lot of my influences are definitely that second group of bands where there is one person with the vision. Presenting the song ideas, and then the rest of the band, helps bring it to life. So, the Deer Hunter, Coheed and Cambria, Devin Townsend. So a lot of, I just like story-driven things, and I kind of just play music kind of like that, yeah. My earlier influences are like Dream Theater, and my guitar teacher, Matt, if you're watching this,
if he is.
so he introduced me to Dream Theater when I started playing guitar in year 7 or whatever, and so Devin Townsend as well, he introduced me to. So really meeting him and working with him both on my craft and also songwriting, a lot of the bands that he brought to me and just the world of prog music in general, and kind of unconventional music and all that. He basically created who I am, and also musical theatre I really like too.
Yeah.
Actually,
In the vein of unconventional.
That made me think though, like, so why did you decide to play like? Why did you pick up a guitar? Like, why was that your instrument?
Yeah. So the very first time I picked up a guitar was in second grade.
To pick up a chick, because apparently that's the case. For a lot of
No,
people, apparently.
it wasn't. It was because I was playing a lot of Guitar Hero.
That's another reason, actually.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so fun. And yeah, basically immediately after, I think it was maybe the Christmas, I got my first guitar and started doing guitar lessons. But I actually hear the story a lot that, people start when they're really young and then they just give up. And then it wasn't until, I think it might have been the school holidays before I started high school. I picked up guitar again then. And then I self-taught myself for a year and got guitar teacher the year after. And that was how I got into it.
Yeah, cool.
So it was really just originally because of Guitar Hero, and second, I think I was just bored.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess my case was like, I've for people who know me, I've told this story because it's 100% true. When I say it like that, like when I phrase it like that, it doesn't sound true, but it's a very boring story actually. It's pretty much, so you know that trope of Asian children just being like instrumental prodigies or whatever, right? I mean, I wouldn't say I am, definitely not. But the same thing though with that though, that stereotype, right? I guess I was at a wedding, not my wedding, someone else's wedding, some random distant relative's wedding, and my dad was just like, we're just sitting there at the wedding table reception. We're just like, so what instrument are you gonna learn? You gonna learn piano too? And I'm like, no. Like, I've got 3 sisters and they all learned piano. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And then that's why I picked up guitar. That's it.
Yeah.
I told a really long-winded story of how it happened, but that was the case. So I didn't really have any motivation to learn music at all before then. I just was like, Dynamite was
just
cool.
to be different to everyone else.
Like, as in, Jason Derulo.
Jason Derulo is Dynamite. I remember I distinctly
the same?
really liking that song for some reason. I don't know why. I used to love pop music.
And in my head as well. In my head.
Like in grade
I
6?
see-
Yeah,
grade 6.
Grade 6. Oh, wait. That'd be
Well, I mean, it's different.
Yeah.
Because, like,
Grade
he's a
5,
baby and, like, we're not babies.
great. Yeah. Well, yeah.
We're just kidding. Kidding, Pat. Sorry.
But that was the kind of the case where I just started where I just listened to what was on the radio mostly, and then went from there.
It's kind of the same. Yeah.
And did I say this already though? But like, I might have mentioned this to one of the guests actually. But one of the things that I really liked about, like, I wanted to learn was Venice Rooftops. Like, and it's because I was a gamer back then, and these days I don't have enough time to play games anymore. But Assassin's Creed 2, Venice Rooftops, just a kid.
How does it go again? Can you sing it to me?
No, I'm not going to sing
on.
it. But it's just, it was one of, I was an edgy kid. I was an edgy parkour kid. So it was, that was a very, I really liked my AC. It was really bad. Like, Jazz Khan, if you're watching this, you'll know how much, I'm exposing you as well. You know how much we loved parkour and free running. Not good at it, but
Did you do it? You did it in Free Life? I mean, Free Life?
I mean, it
Real
was.
life?
It wasn't. I wouldn't say it really was, but
You thought about it.
it was.
Well,
It was a moment in time that was really interesting in my primary school days. But yeah, Venice Rooftops. It was specifically this cover. I don't remember the guy's name. But yeah, I feel bad for not knowing. But this guy actually made me want to. This one YouTube dude that just did a cover of Venice Rooftops. Assassin's Creed Revelations main theme, and a couple of other things. A couple of other songs. I don't remember his name. I really want to find his name for it and post it. But that guy probably was I mean, if I don't have Guitar Heroes really, but I guess like back then. But I guess that guy actually was a pretty big inspiration for me. And I just remember learning. That was like the first song I learned as well. Was just
Did
playing
you used to watch E-Rock?
No, I don't even know what that is.
That was he used to play like Final Fantasy meets Metal and things like that. Yeah, I used to watch him a bit.
That's what the Black Mages are for.
Yeah, Black Mages are good too.
Yeah, I've really dragged that story out, but like that's pretty much how I got into guitar. Asian father says, let's learn an instrument, and I'm like, yeah, okay. And then I guess it sort of grew from there. Pretty much. Yeah. How about you, Caitlyn?
You've triggered a little bit of an identity crisis for me just now, because I'm just realizing, I guess, no, that's not how it happened for me. For me, it's a bit strange. We used to have this big organ that smelled like marshmallows burning if you played it for too long. And we would just sit around and, I don't know, make sounds on it. That's all I really remember. Anyway, and then at some stage, I don't know, someone was, my mum, she always wanted to learn piano when she was younger, but because, times are hard, sometimes. And so my auntie, she did dancing, but mum didn't end up doing piano. And I don't know if that could have stemmed from a bit of financial hardship, or I'm not entirely sure. But either way, because she always really wanted to learn, I think she kind of wanted me to have the same ability, perhaps. So anyway, I think she might have just told my dad and my grandparents, because my parents split when I was younger, maybe 7, something. Oof. And so somehow I got this little keyboard, and it had 500 sound effects, and it had the footsteps, and it had the fireworks and dogs barking and
the crappy
weird,
like vocal MIDI, like vocal
yeah, like
and
things
then when
like
it tries
that.
to play like
I mean, that's the thing. I guess I never was one for the pop culture, and maybe that stemmed from the fact that we didn't really watch much TV at all.
I mean, I don't watch TV at all,
ages.
really.
Yeah, now I watch a bit, but no, I guess, I mean, then I got into some, yeah.
Every morning. Cheese TV, shout out. Toasted TV.
Okay, I did watch a little bit of it maybe, but
I only started
time.
watching TV really when my little brothers came along. And so, I mean, when you guys are watching that, I'm watching Sesame Street and Peppa Pig and things like that. So
it's also called Roller Coaster TV, like after school.
Yeah, I never watched Roller Coaster.
Why is that?
Because I don't know, I just didn't watch TV after school. So I didn't watch the after school show.
Okay, maybe actually I did watch more TV. Like, maybe then I did watch more TV than I gave myself credit for. But definitely there was a period like when I got to high school at that point, like you had Toasted TV and everything was just gone. Like ABC3 was like what was there, but it just
there wasn't that show anymore that it's got like cool shows on it.
iconic, yeah.
It was an anime. Good anime. It was, pretty much.
Oh my god, those were the days. Yu-Gi-Oh! And
I remember this time when I was at my cousin's house and it was like late at night. I think it was ABC3, and they were playing like an English dub version of Vampire Night. That was funny.
Oh god.
I hadn't watched it at all. I think my sisters did, and they were just like, I wish they had 90s voice acting at least, because mid 2000s wasn't too good. I think they've gotten better now, but it's really weird to localize that stuff. Anyway,
Strange
so for my this kind of conversation derails. So what music did you grow up listening to? What music did you listen to growing up?
It's a bit varied. My first album, of course, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out by Panic at the Disco. I had a couple of other random ones. The Gorillaz as well. But the thing is, I didn't really hardcore worship anyone. I just moved straight into songwriting as a form of like comedic like entertainment. So I would just write about the things around me, and whatnot. I mean, I guess there was a bit of Avril Lavigne in there, you know, skater boy, see you later boy. But meanwhile, it just doesn't make sense about why I'm where I am right now. Because my family had like Limp Bizkit, and the Black Eyed Peas, and then things like Garth Brooks, Shania Twain, Brooks and Dunn. There was just a lot of country, but the more pop country.
Does Keith Urban make that list?
A little bit of Keith Urban, but not so much. I mean, we were and Alison Krauss. Just a lot of random country music. When I finally got, I didn't realize how big the musical world was, and so now I'm at just this point. I think that's partially. Oh wait, this is derailing a bit. Maybe not. That's partially why now it's knowing how big the world is and the musical world is. Like, there's just so much stuff everywhere, and I want to know everything and hear all of it. So I think I used to write the music because I wasn't hearing what I wanted to hear.
Right.
But then I found all these artists that were like speaking about these things that I needed to hear or wanted to hear, and so it's kind of like it made me quieter in a way. I don't know, because I never felt a drive to emulate anyone. Like I used to just love to.
Do you have any other
play.
reasons for writing music apart from like just wanting to write what you want to hear?
Well, if I had something to say to someone, so to communicate to someone, to tell stories. I actually used to write when I was younger. I was big on that. No, that's just it. Just telling stories. Like I liked making up these little occasions, and I would read and then take a book and put it into a song, which I did that numerous times, and that was those were always a bit embarrassing. But my friends always just they just kind of like to hear like, oh, what have you got this time? You know, it's
That's
Sorry,
partly what draws
derailed.
me to like the just doing this podcast as well. It's just I'm, as I think I've said this before on the podcast, but I was very much a closet musician, really. Like I did do some stuff in like high school and whatnot, but not enough that I'd say that I'm like, I'd feel like I'd earn the fact that I'm a musician, if that makes sense.
I definitely have never felt comfortable saying I'm a musician.
I still don't.
What makes someone a
To be honest.
musician?
I don't know. But anyway, from that thing, like, it's just, I really do appreciate the guests, like, and like just meeting a bunch of people, because part of what really drew me to like want to actually even host on this podcast is the fact that I don't know anything about this music scene, like Melbourne's music scene, really. And so it's really cool just to at least, slowly immerse myself into and actually get to know people who are working in who are writing and performing and stuff, because it's just great. Like, I don't really have any words to describe it, but it's just an awesome experience.
Yeah. Like before this, like I never even like listened to Australian music or
I'm
Australian
all
bands.
about that.
I mean, our radio is like, unless you put Triple J on, unless you put radio on, it's mostly Brit and American pop, right?
I mean, I got into Australian music probably because of Triple J. And eventually when I'd run out of CDs to play in my other car, like I put on the radio and I was like, okay, all right. And then now, especially this year more than ever, just skyrocketed because I have a car and the CD player is broken, as we spoke about on Max's episode. So all I can listen to is Triple J. There's nothing else. It's always Triple J.
APC.
I don't know, man. It's just
the
antennas is like broken as well. So it used to flap around in the wind like as I was driving, but then it snapped off completely, and I don't know. Anyway, so
that's all to say.
Australian music,
I guess we should probably actually start.
Black Dime Cabaret.
Start answering Max's question.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So,
So
guys.
Continue.
yeah, so Max and Joel, so the keyboardist and the drummer, joined me in Black Dime Cabaret, and we were a band who one person had the vision, presented it to everyone, and we all worked together to bring it to life. And yeah, like the band went pretty smoothly at the beginning. I think we started in, this is kind of end of July, early August 2019.
Then you did your first gig in October,
And
right?
October we did our first gig.
Yeah.
And that was the famous Gig in the Lane, which Max brought up last
Yeah.
They
Natural
got
State.
shut down, which no one has told me about.
Yeah.
Still.
You had to be there to just be so
Yeah.
disappointed.
Pat
Now
was
we
there
just
too.
never know.
I was
Okay,
there taking.
that's fine.
I think I said this as well. Sorry, I feel like we're just repeating a lot of what we said because Max
Yeah.
was such a
Taking
great
photos.
guest.
So we had that gig, and through Max we also met Natural State, Michaela, and all that.
Tiff, Iggy, Eli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so that gig got shut down and whatever Max said. And yeah, so throughout 2019, or the next few months, we would gig and like we released some demos together. But ultimately, the band fell apart. And I kind of stopped making music for, I don't know, almost a year.
Big
So
setback.
so through 2020 is kind of the dead year for me. I guess it was also COVID as well. So for a lot of people,
It's a dead year for most people.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess I could just put it all down to like, I guess it was just COVID. But yeah, so the band ended and music was done. And maybe it's going to take a long time to really go through what happened with all that.
But more like having, like when you have a musical fallout, sometimes when you find something, connections that just really like flourish, and then when it's gone, it's like, it can be a bit devastating.
It's like don't put too much faith in one person. It's like a band is. I'm like maybe I'm just gonna say the wrong thing, but I guess in Black Dime Cabaret we were in a situation where the entire band kind of hinged on something really unstable. Even though like everything was going well, and from the outside it would appear that we were a pretty solid band and everyone worked really well together.
Yeah, the promo was going pretty
Yeah,
well. Like
everything. There was everything rested on this one dynamic between two people, and not so much everyone else in the band. So if this single relationship doesn't
The
work,
foundations. Yeah.
it's the band just will immediately fall apart. There's no, because I don't
glue
think
is gone.
like I wasn't a good enough foundation just by myself, and the rest of the band weren't part of the foundation. So I wrote a musical about it.
I thought you were going to keep the plot hidden.
Yeah.
It's okay. Well, that's what we do when we go through a painful. Well, like when we go through
Write about it.
when we go through experiences. I mean, you got to process that shit. Otherwise, why did it happen at all? If you're not going to gain something from it, and so I think I mean, that's what a lot of the time songwriting is. You take an experience. I mean, it's just to put it onto a musical level is like, really hardcore.
Yeah. And part
Very
of
cool.
the one of the themes or one of the messages of the musical as well is like you don't be like, oh, this only works because we've got this person in the band, or I'm only good because this other person is making me good. Because then when that person's gone,
Who are you?
you realize, you can't, or you convince yourself or you fool yourself into believing I'm only good because of you, or and that was part of the reason why I suppose the band ended as well. When I don't know, say something else.
I mean, I listened to because you released it shortly on Spotify at one point. Their first album.
Yeah.
The Ferris Schemes to Murder Lady Midnight.
Yeah.
Act 1, actually, that was before. Act 1, that.
We did.
And
I never wanted to release that. Like I would have just. It's also like. Yeah, I guess that's also one of the things. Like,
How much is
regret?
perfection? Well, like
yeah, I
perfectionism?
regret ever releasing it for sure because
Or
I
is
never
it-
wanted to.
Is it okay from a?
I don't regret listening to it though, to be fair. As someone
is
who
good,
didn't
you
show
know?
up to the gigs,
Yeah.
like I really did want to, but you know, if you're in Australia and you don't live anywhere close to the city where most gigs are,
And rural Gippsland. As
yeah,
well.
like if you don't have a car that you can drive,
Yeah.
nor someone who's probably willing or either someone willing to or you don't want to burden them to drive you home every night from like a cool gig,
It can make
you can't go to any of the gigs, and that's why I'm like,
It gets a bit dangerous.
man, I wish I went to one of your gigs like and saw you guys.
Well, you did.
That was before I knew what you guys were.
But like, if you had have
Um,
known that it was like a limited time only too, you
Yeah.
would have been like, I'm gonna make it. You know.
I really wish I did.
Yeah, like it definitely was something really special, I think.
yeah.
And we had, it was one of those things where everything just lined up perfectly for everyone in the band, and we all seemed to work together pretty well. And maybe it was, you know, we spent all this time working on an album, and everyone wants to feel like it wasn't a waste of time. And so I understand why the others really wanted to release something.
Yeah.
You know, we'd been working on it for probably half a year, or I can't remember how much it was, but I would have just deleted the whole thing.
But as I was going to say before, I don't regret listening to it though.
Yeah.
Because I actually was like, after I listened to it, I mean, I
It was
think
definitely a selfish thing to just want to get rid of it.
we could.
Sure.
It's kind of the thing because I talked to Max. I messaged Max about because I didn't know Brandon at that point.
Yeah.
So what I did say, and it was kind of, I was like, the mixing though.
Yeah.
The mixing wasn't so great, and like that was the thing that was like, But I did like everything else that was in it. To be fair, from listening to it, and I'm like, yeah, I would like to work with this guy if you know, for whatever reason, like if that ever really happens, and you know, hell, that's not a swear, is it?
That's okay.
Okay. Yes. I shall keep that. And yeah, and now here I am, literally sitting here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Black Diamond Cabaret ended. Basically, almost an entire year went past, and then now we're at November 2020, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
sort of coming out of lockdown.
That's
September for me. Like I
September?
looked at that message,
Okay.
that
when
email
when
that
I
talked about last
joined.
week.
It was
Oh,
November
last week.
2020.
right. So September was when I decided to maybe give Black Diamond Cabaret a second shot, and I started reaching out to musicians again. One of those musicians was Pat, who originally I didn't know you had any connection.
No, you didn't.
So I found you on Bandmix.
I think I made that band mix like a couple months before, but
Okay, yeah.
yeah, I didn't know what I was
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be in
did
someone
you-
else's
Why
band.
did
to be
you
fair.
start a Bandmix?
Why did I start one? It was because I needed people. That's a whole like rabbit hole of talking about my introvertedness, and
Okay.
I don't know if it's introvertedness, but also just my lack of ability, like my personal issues with communication, like where I just don't think I could communicate with certain other musicians. Really, that's pretty much why.
So it's like by band mix kind of helps line up similar interests. Is that what it is? And
I mean, I was
takeaway,
there
or-
to like actually find people, but then someone found me instead.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because Bandmix does that thing where it's like you can't actually message anyone
Yeah,
without
it's
paying.
so bad. Like you have to join like a monthly thing just to
I didn't know
send someone messages.
Like it's a cool. In theory, it makes sense. Bandmix why you do that, but at the same time,
It's dumb.
Like everybody wants to pay to reach out to people.
It's just a bit okay. It's not dumb. It's okay. We love you. It
Sorry
brought us
if
together.
you're watching this.
But
I mean, you can't hate them because they're the one who led you to us too.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a bit tricky when you are like no funds, like deciding where to put money into it, being like, I can't afford that. Oh my god, like this is ridiculous. I could buy so many groceries.
Yeah, you basically
Like-
go, okay, so I'll pay 1 month for this, and I've basically got to find everyone within this 1
Everyone.
month.
Yeah.
So it's like a race against time.
You got particularly good at headhunting at that point, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Because
I used band mix for the previous Black Time Cabaret as well.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how I found most of the band, or everyone who I didn't find through On Planet. But yeah, so I found you on that because we had a lot of similar influences, or I at least really respected your influences. They were unique.
Yeah. And I wasn't actually gonna. I was really, because as I just said, like I was like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna get along with people, like other musicians, because I just haven't really had that experience. And I've had experiences in the past, but like
you had
very few and not very great ones.
Did you have expectations about what people would be looking for?
Yeah, definitely. That's one of my.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still one of my anxieties why I still haven't gone out to reach out to most people.
Yeah,
is
me
that
too.
just like because of the music I write? Not to say that it's completely unique again, but most people don't want to write, like play or like really listen to that kind of stuff on a regular basis. So it's like, am I really going to find people who want to actually play it?
You will.
Yeah, hopefully.
I think that's
Which is something that I've really
Yeah.
appreciated from you guys, and just it's made me a bit more optimistic about where I'm going. But yeah, that was the main reason. I'm like, oh, this is a great opportunity, I guess. But at the same time, I'm like, is it gonna work out? And then I just decided to try it anyway because I was practically giving up on music at that point. My own music just wasn't going anywhere. Also, just wasn't finding anyone that I thought would fit the bill for what I wanted to do, to play with. And
Don't have COVID.
I mean, I just like cleared my throat. Sorry. And yeah, I guess this is where I am now, though.
Yeah.
Like I was actually going to give up on a lot of things.
Give up on life.
I mean, I was going to go into writing actually.
Oh yeah, because you do write as well.
I can't call myself a writer, to be honest. Let's be real. I'm more
still
of
write.
I'm more of
That's such a big concept. Why everyone the expectations of I can't call myself a writer. I can't call myself a
I
musician.
can't call myself many things
Like-
because I have low self-worth.
Yeah, that's such a genuine
Which is-
issue.
Yeah.
I think we both suffer from so much. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to think I'm getting better at it, but who knows?
Have you ever been to therapy about it?
I mean,
Would you?
I
you think you
did go
need
to
to?
therapy once, and I really wasn't in a good state of mind at that point. Which, you know, I might talk about on my.
Yeah.
I guess this is the time to plug in my EP that I keep mentioning, but don't really. I guess before I get into like full nitty gritty stuff of what I'm like mostly working on now, I have kind of I think I mentioned this in my live stream where I had an EP, like I had a couple songs where I was writing between 2018 to 19, and then I just was like, this isn't good enough. This is not what I want. And then I scrapped it. And then I started writing new songs over it, which you guys would have heard, some of them like Puddle and Fine Lining, well, not really Fine Lining, but especially Puddle. And yeah, I guess I've decided I'm just going to release it anyway because I feel like it doesn't make sense to not. There's other songs don't. It's like, for me, it is a photograph. It's capturing a time of my life.
Like validating that part of your history.
Yeah, which I wasn't really proud of. And I guess it's just, you know, looking back on it, like working through these songs, I don't, like, it's going to sound really weird, but sometimes I don't really agree with what I have written, but in some ways it gives me confidence, just, it's the fact that it exists. And I don't know, it gives me comfort that I feel like I've changed from that. sort of from that. And I guess, well, at the end of this week, I'm hoping to release something, which to give a bit more of a definitive time. And Jeremy, who's on this side of is helping me mix it.
He's having to just run around.
Yeah, and he's having
everything.
to like do it. Say hello.
Hello.
That was loud. But yeah, that's going to be interesting to get through. You're also working again. You said that you also you brought in some new music at one point.
Yeah.
But now you're like,
Yeah.
nah, I just want to do this myself. No, mate, I respect that.
Because I was thinking of just getting rid of all the Black Dime Cabaret stuff and start like a completely different project. So I did write some new material that could have been part of an EP, and I might still release it. I'm currently working on I guess recording one of the songs, but it is still up in the air whether or not I release any of it.
Guys, tell them to, please.
Do it.
I need to get my vocals back because it's like when I stopped writing and just stopped playing music, I also just stopped my vocals, so I got really out of shape, and but I do need to build that up before I can probably start recording.
Practically what happened to me, and even like it's actually one of my anxieties with this EP is that my vocals are probably might hurt people's ears in some points.
They're not that bad.
But well, we'll see what happens. Or you hear what happens really with that. But
Yeah, so Black Dime Cabaret, I found Pat. Originally there was a different keyboard player. Lucy, you're probably not watching this, but you were a really good keyboard player.
I feel like I pressured you to like leave after I was like really like the first month or so when I was working with this. I'm like, I really want to like actually do really well. And so like I might have overwhelmed you with like, hey, what about this part? What do you think about this? And how like
Oh no,
how this go with
I
that?
definitely appreciated that.
I know, except for the part where I felt like I'm like, did I just add too much pressure to people? Shoot.
No, it was.
So, sorry,
it was-
Lucy, if that.
I was always happy to hear what you said and to have you around because I feel like where maybe I would have still been in that phase of settling for something that wasn't that good. I feel like you were the opposite of that, and if something was not good, or like you wouldn't just be a yes man, or you wouldn't just say, yeah, that's good, or I like your idea. Like if you didn't like it.
For the most part, I did like your ideas, though. I think I don't really have to say no for most things, except for I can't even think of anything actually that I was really like. No.
You both had this like, well, same as Jeremy, like attention to detail. You know, you can. I don't know. I think it's good. I mean, even if even if you scared someone away, it's okay because you two are still.
I'm so sorry.
You two are still working together.
She is okay now.
She's okay.
She's okay?
Yeah, I haven't.
And she's doing doing theater and things and writing her own shows.
That's really cool.
Go see her shows.
Can we? Let's go.
Yeah, probably could. I mean, you guys went to see our previous vocalist, like.
Oh yeah,
We did.
Shout out
without
Kelsey.
me, and I'm like, oh damn.
Yeah.
You should be watching this.
You should be.
We should get you
Kelsey.
on.
I love Kelsey.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I'd
Gorgeous.
like to have a chat with her again.
Yeah. But yeah, so our keyboard player left. We went through a bunch of different band members. Nick, you're watching this?
Good
too?
times.
You were
Office.
so good. He was like this
Yeah,
16-year-old
Prodigy.
bassist.
He's a prodigy, man. Like
Yeah, and so
Actually.
mature as well.
yeah, he's like
Reliable as well.
yeah.
Good at playing.
Like pretty much. It was just it was just cool.
He
Like,
supplied our rehearsal space.
yeah,
The office.
Yeah.
the office. We were like
Out of
rehearsing
nowhere.
at one point in an office.
Which,
Yeah.
coincidentally, I also had a song that I was writing called The Office, which has nothing to do with the TV show. So it's just kind of perfect.
I think about also like possibly doing the podcast in the office, like an actual office as well. But I mean that didn't happen.
That's
but
okay.
It's
Yeah,
all
it's
good.
because he left us because he was
yeah.
too good.
Yeah, you're too good. You're too good for us, man.
We were such a mess though. Like
Oh, definitely. Like that's
I mean,
headaches.
I think the thing, it's just things are hard, man. And not everyone is able to or does prioritize being in a band or whatever as much as other people do. Commitment levels can
everyone has
vary,
different
but like you
expectations
shouldn't be like, oh, at the same time, I mean, I don't feel like you should punish someone. You can be like, I just understand. But then again,
COVID just messed a lot of things up because we just
Work ethic,
we've gone to
just,
rehearsal once or twice, and then COVID like strikes
Yeah.
us 2 months or 3 months,
Yeah.
and then we have to restart again everything, and that was hard. I will outright say this. I did think about leaving at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, several times.
just like
It
this,
got that bad where I'm
It
like,
was bad.
Yeah.
it was hard to keep on. But
We-
you know,
I mean, part of that was like probably my fault because I also didn't really know what I was doing.
I guess, I mean, you were revisiting the place of like, ooh.
songs that you kind
So
of
it's,
grew to hate to an extent, right?
yeah.
Yeah, or just dislike, not hate. Hate's probably a strong word.
Yeah. I mean, we could go on forever as well, just
could.
talking about, it's revisiting old music with, the music meant so much to me in, the past, and then revisiting it with a new group of people
Very
and how
confronting.
that feels. And
Not the same.
it's like, you can also talk about, when people talk about there's like a certain magic within different groups of people or the spark and things like that. And it's like trying to recapture things and living up to, the
Expectations.
shadow. Yeah.
And that's something that I really struggle with.
But we found you then.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I really wasn't anything. I was also similar position of, yeah, oh, thanks. No, like, I just been about to, finally do my first gig like outside of Collards as well, and then COVID, and just things happen. You get derailed, and but then I think if it hadn't have been for that connection, like, well, now eventually we just ended up here, and we're all here now, and
Yeah.
and now we're doing this thing, and we get to,
One thing about the,
you know.
I'm just thinking because we haven't asked about our journeys, but the one thing
Yeah.
as well with The Office that really, I mean, Caitlyn would definitely agree with this, but
oh yeah.
it was an hour and a half every day. Well, not every day, but every time we went, and it's an hour and a half back, and it's like it's just such a.
It taught me how to drive though in the city as well. Next to like other lockdown, like going to Baker's Delight thing.
That was
Just making eye contact with Jeremy.
Why?
I
Because
don't
the trauma,
miss.
I need to know that you understand.
I don't miss the hour and a half. I mean, to be honest, it still takes me an hour and a half now, but I don't mind it as much because I don't know. I just
good
don't
luck.
mind it for some reason.
Oh.
Maybe because it just doesn't feel like I've gone to the city, and when you go so far out, and it's like, yeah, if someone has to drive, like you have to drive back, or you have to find a route home that's so inconvenient.
Yeah.
Especially with all the train works currently.
Oh my God,
or
so
back then
many.
as well, there was heaps. So
It's like if you could just show up and play, and that was all. It'd be so simple, so easy. But the fact that it does take a lot of just mental stamina to, like, you got to get there. And now, like, you've been playing for hours. Now it's late. You got to get home. It's the hustle. The hustle is real. But
yeah.
I don't know. I think you both are like really good examples of just.
I'm not a good hustler, but
I think.
I'm trying to hustle now. I'm taking Saffron Moore, Sabrina's advice of just hustling.
Sherry, like everyone's hustling.
Again, that's a great thing about this podcast. It's given me some actual motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's inspiring to be around other musicians as well, and just to remember like why we like this in the first place, because art is so cool and so beautiful, and so are people. Like, it's just worth it.
And hopefully other musicians can watch or listen to these episodes and take things that they like from certain musicians about oh, I really like their approach to doing things.
Or just their
wanna
outlooks
try
on life
this.
is really
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
And, just, tying it back to what Luke was talking about in the first episode of, being, on the shoulders of giants and stealing from other people.
Drive it like you stole it.
Hey, sing stream.
Yeah. But I guess that wraps up today's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Episode,
we may need
right?
to come back for a part 2 at some point.
I
Yeah.
think we were just discussing this before, and I'm gonna advocate for this, but it's, what do you guys think about maybe
Once every 2 months.
once every 2 months, or like when it calls for it, it'd be nice to just all sit down together. So
Yeah, and I guess something we haven't done here, Laura, is, definitely please give us questions to answer about the
Yeah.
podcast or
Well,
anything.
and
Anything, like,
anyone who you
We'd be
think
happy
would
to
be
answer them, I think.
anyone who's interested in coming aboard, or if you know someone who it's like, this person's incredible, but they
They need
like
a bit of a
Pat.
push. They need a bit of a
they're
push to
Brandon.
to get something. Like we'd happy to
Yeah.
just help promote you, and because that's what
Yeah.
that's part of one of our reasons for starting this podcast, right?
Yeah, there's no expectations. If you're like, oh my god, I can't call myself a musician, that's okay, that's fine. Like you love this thing, like why do you love it? And even if it doesn't present in the way that you're on stage all the time performing, or you haven't actually released something, like I still think it's valuable to hear from everyone. Like I mean, it's a safe place, no matter how you're feeling or where you're coming from, it's fine, we're just humans being humans and chatting about things.
So this has been episode 6. We don't know what we're going to call this yet.
Yeah.
Um,
But what's next for the podcast?
What's next? Oh, so
Little break, break.
Yeah, as much as we'd like to, keep on going straight through Christmas, we have our own lives.
Yeah.
At least you guys both do.
We'll actually be,
but-
moving to a new location as well, so that's going to
Yeah.
take some finessing.
Yeah, we're hoping to come back early 2022, and stronger than ever. Really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with more personal touch.
It's going to be an interesting experience because I feel like we've kind of somewhat exhausted our network of close people, guests, I guess.
Yeah, people who
So we're
will
gonna have some
forgive us
really-
if we suck.
So we're gonna have some really interesting, it's gonna be really rocky, but please bear with us for these. When we come back and we're
Yeah,
trying to just keep on doing what we're doing right now.
let's just figure it out.
But yeah, this will unfortunately be the last. If you really enjoy listening to this every week, thank you, our monthly or weekly listeners on Spotify, Apple Music, or watching us on YouTube.
Whatever platform, yeah.
Yeah, whatever platform. Yeah, so this will be the last week for this year, but we're really hoping to come back as soon as possible next year.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Can't give you an exact date, but just please stay tuned. Don't forget about us.
But we will be working hard during that break to come back better.
Yeah, there's a lot of things we need to do.
We're going to be very busy.
Cool. But also, just Merry Christmas, guys.
Oh yeah, Merry Christmas,
Merry
Happy
or,
New Year.
or whatever. If you don't celebrate, that's fine. Just I hope
Merry
you get a
whatever.
break. Merry break. We're going on break. You can have a break too. Chill out, man. You deserve it. It's been a hard year.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, that was it for this episode of
Cool.
No Socks.
Bye.
Ciao.
We'll see you next year.
See ya.